bro, like the conservatives, like the entire conservative political party is like a codename Kids Next Door contraption held together with chewed gum and duct tape. And the chewed gum is like bumper sticker talking points, and the duct tape is like culture war issues, and that's it. Without either of those things, I think the Republican Party would completely fracture and shatter apart. Outside of like wanting to constrict the like rights and lives of minorities, I don't think like a lot of factions in the Republican Party really have much to agree on at all. That's why they're fighting so much. They don't have like much in common at all, really. Listen, there's a war, okay? It's a war between trans people and pedophilia, and they picked the side of pedophilia. Literally just today, just yesterday that we were talking, okay? Kansas Republicans successfully overrode a governor veto that authorizes them to perform genital inspections on children in order for them to play sports. And I think that's gross. Same with in Georgia, they were passing laws about that as well. In Florida, young like girls need to get like 14-year-old girls need to give all of their menstrual history and cycles to the government and to their school board, and so they can track their periods to make sure that they're not trans. I think that's gross. If I'm going to be honest with you, penis inspection day is real. Menstrual history? Yes. Florida drops menstruation reporting from school sports forms after backlash. So they were like, oh yeah, we want all 14-year-old girls to tell us about their menstrual cycle, how often they get it, when did you get it, when does it start, when does it stop, how heavy is it, like all those types of things. They want like to give all of that type of information to a school board, which I don't know what a school board has, or like what like a principal or a school or anything, what any beneficial use of the child that they have with that type of information. But apparently Republicans thought that it was incredibly important that everybody in the school knows about when your baby girl is going through her period. It's just insane. It's genuinely insane. And there are a lot of other genital inspections being passed across the country as well. That you can't play sports, you can't go like to certain bathrooms without getting your like without getting your like pussy felt up or like your balls felt up or something. You need like a dick inspection. I think this is crazy, if I'm going to be honest with you. And it coincides with that massive list of like Republican pedophiles, but you know, whatever, I guess. And all of this is just draining their ability to govern. But it's not like they cared about governing in the first place. Conservatives don't care about governing. They never have, they never will. Be honest. Republicans liked Trump, and they still like Trump, not because he changed the country, but because he owns the libs. Be honest. If you ask a Republican, what's your like top 5 policies by Donald Trump? They'll be like, I don't know, man. They'll try and say that he did good on war. Did he? He ramped up the drone war to higher heights than we've ever seen in our entire lives. People always forget that he almost started World War III with Iran. And it's not like something that like sparked across the country, like the Ukraine war. That doesn't really have like history with just America. It was one deal between us and like another country. It was crazy. He also threatened to nuke North Korea. Is it that? I don't think so. He didn't build the wall. He didn't get rid of illegals in the country. There are more illegal immigrants here than when he came into office. What else? Did he bring jobs back? When like Donald Trump was in office, there were more jobs going overseas than any time in like history, at least more than when he got into office. Was it normalizing relations with like any other big country besides like Russia? And I'm not even sure if I can necessarily call Russia a big country, because like they have an economy smaller than the size of California. And honestly, if things keep going this way with all the tariffs, not the tariffs, with all the like embargoes and everything, they could have an economy smaller than West Virginia, which would be very funny. Yeah, he gave a job to liberal fact checkers. How incredibly kind. Yeah, that went crazy. What did he do in office? What was it? He cut some taxes, a little bit. Sanctions, I guess a tiny bit. That hurts Americans. Some tariffs, that hurts Americans. He didn't understand tariffs. We paid tariffs. When you put a tariff on another country, Americans pay the tariff. Yes, he passed prison bill reform, but that's it. That wasn't one of his like actual policies. I want to talk about like things that he actually like ran and campaigned on. Like, he didn't campaign on that. He doesn't give a shit about that. He passed it because he had no reason not to. I mean, Russia sanctions, yeah. He owned the libs. That's literally it. That's all they wanted from him. And that's why they still want to put him into office, because he owned the libs, and that's it. Repeal and replace Obamacare didn't happen. And then he stopped fighting for it as well. What did he do? Oh yeah, NAFTA, and then he replaced normal NAFTA with like NAFTA 2.0. That had the exact same issues that conservatives complained about in the first place. It's nothing. The answer is nothing, because they don't want anything from Trump. They don't need anything from Trump. They want him to own the libs. But that's just a small section of the American populace. These people love to do these types of things and love to control power because there aren't many actual like straight up conservatives in this country. I know a lot of people like to think that we're like a really conservative country. In all actuality, we're not. When you look at polls and you see what actual people and actual Americans care about, it's not what Republicans care about. When you look at our views on like certain issues, it's always against Republicans. It just doesn't work out in the way that they think it does, because they're not as strong as they think they are. Their population, their numbers, their size, their influence is nowhere near as big as they think it is, or as big as they bluff that it is. That's the reason why there's so many Republicans around. That makes you think that there's a lot of Republicans in our voter base, is because our literal system of government is made to make smaller sections of the population feel bigger than they actually are. Wyoming with less people in it than like 5 square miles of a random place in California has 2 senators. And California also has 2 senators. And so you're like, wow, we have such a conservative country, when like 15 states with like 3 people in it have like 2 senators, and so they get to roll over like the other like 90% of the country. It's ridiculous. It just makes no sense. And so they use that inordinate amount of power to push through their unpopular rules and laws without having much like pushback. Because what are you gonna do? You can't take away their seat. Sometimes you can win in some places where they've won, but it's not like that all the time. They'll just always have inordinate amount of power, far exceeding, I think personally, egregiously exceeding the amount of power that they actually hold. Listen, I'm not necessarily against like republic governance, as long as it's very democratic republic governance. A lot of conservatives try and sit here and say that we're like a constitutional republic. We're a democratic republic. They love to forget the democratic part, because when democracy really strikes, most of the time it doesn't work in their favor. And this is why they complain so much about like big liberal cities or something along those lines that helps like move states more blue, at least on a state level, because they hate the idea that a majority of people get to actually have a say. It's just how it works, okay? You never hear conservatives talks about like a lot about like how great it is that like every single person gets the possibility to vote, and that the person with the most amount of votes wins, and that's how they want to like do things. They don't. They never have, they never will. That's not how it works, okay? So when we think of this, a conservative genuinely believes, let's do a little thought experiment, okay? Especially for some people who aren't like fully bought in. A little thought experiment, all right? To understand like why this is insane. Let's take you have like 105 people, okay? They have 105 people at a party, and the party host goes, we're getting food, should we order pizza or wings? Okay? And I want you to step in one of these like step in, step in like one of these circles or something. You can vote for if you want pizza or wings. 100 people want pizza, but 5 people want wings. And so, what do you think you should probably do in that situation? When 100 people want pizza in a party full of 105 people, but 5 people want wings, you should probably go with, and you can only get one, you should probably go with the pizza. Way more people want pizza than they do wings. And that makes sense normally. What conservatives think is actually fair, how they want to run the country, is there's 105 people. You want to order pizza and wings. Pizza or wings. You have to choose. And so you vote. But instead of voting as in like you cast one person, one ballot, as in one person, one ballot, as in like one person's vote is just one vote. What they enjoy, what they like, what makes people think we're like super conservative is they go, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll draw one circle around the 100 people that want pizza, and then we'll draw 5 circles around each individual person that wants wings. And now instead of one person, one vote, each circle gets one vote. And so now you have 105 people, 100 want pizza, 5 wants wings. But the votes come out to 1 for pizza and 5 for wings. An overwhelming victory for wings. And that's what Republicans genuinely believe democracy should be. And that's why they always post those maps that are like, oh, look how Republican the country really is. The country's so red. When like they have like when it comes to some of their states, like half of the state being like a single congressional district. It's just ridiculous. Or some states just simply being a single congressional district. It's insane. But each one just gets one vote. But at the end, but that's why it feels like that. They're not a silent majority. They're a loud minority. There's a reason why most of the political talks and like political like happenings online, the big political creators are all like hard right conservative Republicans or literally Nazis. Okay? It's because those people care the most about the aesthetics, the pageantry, eating up all of this information to make you feel like you're way bigger than you actually are. You have to actually consume the information to feel really big. And like a lot of left-wing people simply just don't. They just don't. But Republicans feel really big because online, on Twitter, on like the biggest accounts on Twitter and Facebook are like Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool. Same with like YouTube. They're huge. They're massive. They get more. I'm pretty sure like Ben Shapiro's Facebook page gets more interactions than like the top like 5 or 10 like news organizations Facebook's combined. They have a lot of traction. But how many people and they love watching him. But how many people are actually out there in the real world? Is like 30% of the country is like 50, I'm sorry, because they love to say that like is half the country, is 50% of the country like a Republican? No. Is 50% of Republicans like a Stephen Crowder viewer? No. Not at all. They're 30% at best. Like conservative, like these types of conservatives, they're 30% at best. But they feel big because they abuse the systems that we have to give like smaller political groups in the country more power in Congress. So they abuse it and use it for their own personal ends without against the will of and to the detriment of like a lot of, sometimes even the majority of the country. At least like a larger plurality than them. And what makes it easy is that they don't have to govern, okay? I've heard this before and I thought it was really interesting and I've taken it with me because it seems like it's just like the truest meme I've ever heard in my entire life. The big problem with the Democratic Party, now this is a liberal speaking, okay? So like take it with a liberal grain of salt. The biggest problem with the Democratic Party is that they're expected to govern. Okay? When Republicans get into office, they're not expected to govern, okay? Have you ever like seen like a conservative win like an election, and they're like, boy howdy, we're really gonna turn this country around. They're gonna pass this, and we're gonna pass this, and we're gonna pass that, and we're definitely gonna get it done. And then it doesn't get done, and then you look at the same person who said, oh yeah, we're gonna get all this shit done when they originally got into office, and you ask them like, how do you feel now? And they're like, I got one more in me. Put him back. They're like, oh yeah, put him back. I love him. On the federal or state level, I've never seen that shit in my entire life. It takes a long time to wear down Republicans to make them like not like a politician anymore. It takes a lot to do it. It's very hard to do it because they just don't care. They don't care. A lot of them just simply don't care. A lot of the like hardcore like ruby red Republicans just simply don't care. It's about owning the libs. It's about that type of stuff. That's what they really care about. They've been conditioned to believe these types of things because culture issues that get you like really fired up and really interested are ones that are specifically made and targeted to abuse your emotions to get you to care about things that don't necessarily matter. It's very easy for a Republican to get you to hate trans people. It's very hard for a Republican to actually fix the school the school system. It's easy for a Republican to make you scared that gay people are going to drop from the rafters in the toilet and pee on your cock while you're taking a massive shit in your like local bathroom. Okay, it makes you easy to be scared of like all these thugs and crime going around. It's very hard to actually fix the prison system. And so instead of actually doing that, instead of, let's take Florida for an example again. It's very easy to pass a law saying that woman impersonators should be like executed by the burning at the pike or some shit like that, whatever they want to pass, okay? It's very hard to fix the environmental issues that are wreaking havoc on Florida's lands and natural wildlife that have been completely ignored for 30 years. It's very easy to pass a law that says you can indoctrinate children in school, and by indoctrinate I mean talk about anybody who's not literally me. It's very hard to fix the orange greening issue that's obliterating Florida's like orange, like one of the, like Florida's like orange agriculture. It's hard to fix that. That's why they don't talk about it. It's easy to try and ban like trans people from going to a certain flavor of bathroom. It's very hard to fix the fact that Florida is one of the worst places to move and has one of the most overpriced housing markets in the entire country. It's very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. And so instead of worrying about things that are hard to do and failing and telling people you will do hard things that will actually improve their lives, you say you'll be their retribution and then waffle around for 3 years on things that won't affect their lives in a meaningful way, and then tell them to vote for you again. And a lot of the times they just will. It's very easy. And this comes all the way, like it goes back, way back, kings and queens, like goddamn caveman shit, okay? Ever since politics has been around, people have understood this, all right? Especially when it comes to like the especially like in America, when it comes all the way back to like post-slavery and like the Jim Crow era. They like go to like the poorest, whitest places that have literally nothing going on for them, and they're like, we're not really gonna fix your situation. That's why there are people in like the deep south who have been poor for as long as their family has been poor for as long as like their family's been in the country. Their family is so poor that like their family tree is so poor that like it's a family shrub, bro. Their family tree's been so poor that you would think that their like history is allergic, that you would think that their like blood is allergic to money. It is wild how long some families have just the generational poverty in some of those like places that are like really, really white, but like at least you're not black. At least you're not one of them Mexicans. At least you're not Chinese. At least you're not one of those. Okay? Like, listen, stick with us. You may not have much going for you, but you do have your skin tone. And then that's what they'll take and that's what they'll run with. That's what happened. It really sucks. But you can buy it hook, line, and sinker when somebody doesn't have anything going for them, and you point the finger at like something that they have going for them, at least that they won't get discriminated against, and you show somebody that at least you're better than this person. You give them a false amount of perspective to think that they're actually okay, and other things that won't hurt, that won't help them, are worth caring about more than actual issues. Now, is this everybody? No. Is every like conservative like a brainwashed and insane? No. Look at this. New poll out. A majority of Americans say Republicans should spend less time talking about wokeness. Plus 31%. Plus 31%. 55% of Americans say that they should talk about wokeness less. 55% of Americans say shut the fuck up, nobody cares. 55%. It's crazy. It's huge. Only 24% of the country says they should talk about it more. 22% say that it's about the right amount. This is incredible. This is remarkable. How huge this L is. They would make you want to believe that the entire country is against like the left and trans people and wokeness, whatever word they want to make up now, CRT or wokeness or critical race theory or like cancel culture, or hey, remember this one? It's an ancient term, political correctness. Man, when was the last time you heard a conservative say political correctness? They're always hopping to a new term, but always keep around the same exact ideas. It's insane. It's insane how it works. Independents fucking hate fucking hate this shit. They're more like, sure, a lot of them are like this is very conservative, still 41%. Plus 16 should talk about it less. Very conservative Republicans. It's crazy. These people are insane. But none of this matters because they don't have to appeal to like your average human being. They have to appeal to like a very small minority. And that's how they can get just barely enough to wink by to like pass some laws or like make a fuss or get on like a YouTube channel to scream about how much this, that, or the third sucks. There's more than to this as well, honestly. Take a look at this. This is new. A new survey that just dropped.
This meme is very real.
Thank you, Marjorie. Important memes. Independents trust Democrats over Republicans to look out for their children. Parents prioritize keeping children safe from gun violence over wokeness. Anti-trans legislation in sports healthcare lacks majority support. It's just everybody would sit here and believe that they're like somehow like somehow like people like actually believe what they have to say, or forgetting about every actual issue in the country besides like what person dressed in like a skirt or jeans should walk into what bathroom. You know? It's remarkable, isn't it, that people genuinely don't give a shit about that type of stuff. Who could have seen it coming? Please indicate who you trust more to handle handle, and then it's looking out for your children. Plus 7 for Democrats when it comes to looking out for your children. Plus 7. Not even 40% of, not even, listen, there's some Republicans in here who don't even, there's some Republicans in here who don't even trust Republicans. This is registered voters. There are Republicans in here who don't even trust Republicans more than Democrats that look out for their children. What the fuck? That's crazy. That's a plus 7 for Dems. Democrats, 84%. Biden and Dems. For independents, it's 13 plus 13 for Democrats as well. You're telling me running as the party of family values, but then passing like G-spot inspections on like 9-year-old girls is like didn't actually win you the votes that you thought that it would? That's crazy. Who the fuck could have seen this coming? That's crazy. My mind is blown. Every single like group in America, except for specifically white people by like barely a two like a by a 2-digit margin, trust Democrats more. And on this issue, I want you to take a look at something like this. Because you hear Republicans talk about this all the time. You would imagine that if you're just like somebody who doesn't care about politics too much, you would imagine that this is some like the world's biggest issue. What are your top priorities when it comes to American children? Number one is gun violence, with 53% of the country saying that this is their number one issue. And parents take home a 51%, a slight majority, that this is their number one issue. And then you have to go all the way down, over 20 percentage points down. Preventing children from being exposed to woke ideas about race and gender in school, 31%. Well, barely 30% of the country actually cares about this. Barely 30. 1 in 3? Sorry. Yeah, well, barely 30, like 1 in 3? 3 in 10? It's always 30. Yeah, about 30%. Yeah. It's just the same people over and over again. And it's barely even half of Republicans who believe this. Barely half of their voters believe this. And only 33% of parents actually believe this too. The saddest thing here is like the bottom of the list is climate change and like affordable childcare, but like it's not like we as a country have like the best it's not like we in the country like always have like the best priorities in order, but like, you know, at least it's not all bad. No fucking way. Yeah, affordable childcare. Bottom of the list, 22% of Americans care. And 25% of parents even care. All right, so you those 25%, I would imagine that they have a real hard problem paying for those childcare bills. I think they would appreciate more people caring, but you know, as it is. Below our list of laws, actions, and other items that have been proposed or supported, please indicate your support for each one. Creating affordable childcare options. Holy shit. 87% support. Expanding family medical leave. 82%. Now let's look at the ones at the bottom, okay? Look at the ones at the bottom. Banning high school classes like AP African American history. 21% support. There's something Florida's think about doing or has done. Banning books that parents find questionable. 32%. Passing legislation preventing children from playing sports teams that match their gender. 30. What? Gender identity. Not even 40%. Passing legislation banning trans-focused healthcare options for young Americans. 41%. And then banning teaching critical race theory in schools. 43%. There's such like a small portion of the population that actually like cares about anything that Republicans are like banking their entire campaigns on. This is why they keep losing. This is why they will continue to keep losing. Because like it's just too succulent, it's just too appealing to not govern. Republicans don't want to govern. They never have, they never will. That's why they don't run on actually governing. What they actually run on is opposing, is just listen. I think your average Republican politician, I don't think they have like a much deeper meaning to like what they're doing. What I do believe, besides like, oh, like doing something easy and gaining a bunch of like good boy points from some of my like most active voter base is more important than doing anything else for the state, the country, the city that they live in. But there are some really bad, evil actors out there that are the ones kind of like pulling the strings behind like the puppets that are a lot of the politicians. Like Christopher Rufo, specifically. This guy was actually the guy behind the critical race theory like push in the country about a year ago, right? So we take a look. This is what he said. We have successfully frozen their brand, critical race theory, into the public conversation and are steadily driving up negative perceptions. We will eventually turn it toxic as we put all of the various cultural insanities under that brand category. So this guy was the guy who like really like brought in the idea of critical race theory to the mainstream. And remember, this is back when Trump was in office, and this is back when he was still on good terms with Fox News. So every night he would watch Fox News, and this is when you know exactly what and how much Fox News Trump was watching, because the next day he would do like a speech or do like a talk or like do like a ramble or make a couple tweets where he would just rattle off exactly what like Fox and Friends or Tucker Carlson said like last night or like that morning. And so Christopher Rufo went on Fox and Friends to talk about how critical race theory is evil. The next day, Donald Trump like makes a speech and writes a couple tweets about how like critical race theory is evil. Then they find out that they have like a new scapegoat, and then they ran with it, and that's how it got big. This is the guy that did it, and his main goal at the end of the day was to wrap up everything that he didn't like about that was being taught about minorities, women, xenophobia, American history, wrap up all of it into the idea of critical race theory, and then run with it. That's exactly what conservatives are doing now, but they have like a new word, wokeness, wokeness, wokery. I've seen some people say wokeism or something. What is it? I have no fucking clue. The answer, if you meet like an honest conservative, the answer is whatever I don't like. Wokeness is a thing that I don't like. Wokeness is a set of beliefs that I don't believe in, and so that's what wokeness is. If I don't agree with it, it's woke, and woke is bad. So everything that I don't believe is bad, and everything I do is good, because that's just how it works. That's just simply how it works. Wokeanium. Woke lowest layer of hell for this man. Only if, brother. That'd be based. And on that fact, on that point, right? They make up lies and they misconstrue things specifically for their agenda of like tackling wokeness, right? Some of you may have seen this, some of you may not have. This, you see articles like this every now and again. Roads designed by men are killing women. It actually says this. Get a hecking grip. And off the cuff, what the heck? What the heck does that mean? Roads designed by men are killing women. The roads are just like waking up one day and going, and then just devouring a woman driver or something. No. A lot of conservatives talked about this like it was some sort of like evil misogynist tarmac or something, but what it was actually about is how men are more happy to drive, women are more happy to cycle, but men hold more power, and what they care about is improving driving at the expense of cyclists and other pedestrians on the road, which makes like pedestrian deaths to cars more likely, which negatively dramatically impacts women more than men do. That's the point of the article, actually. But I can't necessarily expect, you're right, I can't expect a conservative to read. So it's my bad for imagining that they were ever going to actually do that. Not like they would ever really want to. It would ruin the whole pizzazz of being a conservative, you know? Imagining oppression and then acting on it like it's real. Their favorite thing. And they can't understand. They're so deep in the hole now, they can't possibly understand anybody else. They just can't. They can't do it. I'm not saying it because I like hate them or something. I have like some massive like hate boner. Listen, they just can't understand it. They don't understand other people. They don't understand people who don't believe exactly what they believe. They try and call us NPCs. They try and call us non-tolerant. They try and call us like all sorts of things. At the end of the day, the conservative mind is the one that's least capable of being able to understand another human being's thought process, period. Sorry. It just is. There are actually some studies on that. Also have less empathy as well. But to hammer this point home, I want to talk about one of the conservatives' favorite media personalities online, Tim Pool. Now, some of you all heard this earlier, but I want to play a little bit more of this because it's just too insane, like not to like just hammer home about. Okay. Last night I was in bed and I was like, you know what I'm missing? Some Schadenfreude. I wanted some like grade A, freshly like grade A, like well aged, but not too old. I want to be too strong now. Schadenfreude of conservatives getting upset that their idea of them being the like the idea of them being like the silent majority is nowhere near what the reality says about the world. So I decided to look up Tim Pool's coverage of the 2022 midterm elections. Obviously, if you remember, that's when the conservatives got washed and rolled. And a lot of places where they thought it was going to end up didn't happen. They lost a lot of places around the country based, and they just barely won the House by just a couple of votes, mostly because, and I think actually only because of Cuomo pushing through a Republican-friendly map before he got kicked out of office for like assaulting women, right? I'm skipping to like the very end. At the beginning, they were super happy and they were cheerful. We're gonna get all these trans people out of the country. We're gonna stop all these uppity blacks. And now, at the end of the night, when they realized that the conservatives got washed and the Democrats actually picked up seats, Tim Pool has one of the most mind-numbing, dipshit, low IQ rants I've seen in my entire life. And you, honestly, I can't sugarcoat this. You have to see it to believe it. I know a lot of us haven't seen it. I didn't see it until last night, but like, this is crazy. Look at how little his brain can actually even begin to understand. Look at how little of his brain is working, and how little he's able to understand anybody who isn't already completely bought into every single political position that he's at. Listen to this.
They want to just do what their friends tell them they're supposed to do. That's what they all are doing. That's what they're.
Just so you know, he's talking about voters. He's just talking about your average voter in like a city, or like a young voter specifically, like Gen Z young voter in a city.
Their sole motivation is they can't
Groupthink.
But even groupthink might be an overstatement. It's just social groups. That's it. Mm-hmm. And because the social norm of New York is vote Democrat, many of them will just do it and not think about it. And if you ask them why they voted, they'll be like, "What do you mean?"
It's a cult. That's my point.
Right. There's no
if you're in a cult,
do
you know you're in a cult?
No. And my point is, they're not going, "I hope leader keeps me safe." Some people are, but most of them are just like, "My friend voted Democrat." And then you're like, so what are you hoping to happen? And you just, Republicans are bad.
It's just more simple, I think what Tim is saying. It's just there's way less thought going into it. It's just like this simple as making sure that my friends did this, so I'm going to do this too.
I actually thought that what Drew said is true under the surface.
The average
the surface of that apathy is the belief that they'll be okay if they just vote that way.
And the average person in New York, if you're part of a friend group, there's going to be a social structure. And if you're the cool, well-known, popular guy, and you say, "I don't know, I'm probably going to vote for Zeldin," because, they'll go, "Oh, for real? Yeah, I was thinking about that too."
Yeah, man, definitely. The human contact understander has logged on. The human interaction understander, Tim Pool, has logged on. That is definitely how all of this type of stuff works. Yep, 100%. What the fuck? I know, right? How bullied was this guy? Not enough, because he's still here. I'm joking. Hi, mods. Anyways, it's just everybody else is in the cult. I'm the only big brain free thinker. Everybody else can't possibly be a free thinker because they don't vote the same way I do. Because if they voted the same way I did, they'd be thinking more. Your average person, okay, 75% of people who grew up in a household where both of their parents are of one political party, they grow up to live their life voting for that one political party, okay? There's a lot to do with how you're raised, and how you're raised forms a lot of like how you think about the world, usually. Simple as, okay? That's kind of how it works. To pretend like these people who are so apathetic to voting and couldn't care at all are the ones who are like driving these like democratic victories is just like preposterous and stupid. People who do this, okay, they just don't vote. Like half of the people who are registered voters or could be registered voters, they don't like go okay, I think I'll vote, I guess, I think they just don't vote. They don't care. If you don't care about like who's going to be in office, you just don't vote. It's pretty easy because so many people do it. And one of these guys, like earlier, I'm not gonna go find it, but like earlier in this video, they were even like, bro, dude, did you know that like not even half of this country votes? Like there's 350 million people, but only like 100 million, 100 like something million people, like only like 170 million people voted. Man, people don't care. Completely forgetting a lot of those people are children and immigrants who aren't naturalized citizens. And a lot of those people are felons who are not allowed to vote as well because of Republican laws. But whatever, I guess. Sure, bud. And I promise you it actually gets worse.
That's it.
Yeah, so this is the challenge is that, you know, in 2020 we saw groupthink versus people who think for themselves as becoming really the main issue of the entire year, right? Is like, do you think for yourself or do you go in the groupthink? Do you believe that 2 + 2 is 4 or 5? So what I think is happening is somebody's thought process. Like what I tend to study is I like to go inside people's heads, right? Like sometimes when I ask you questions,
You don't seem very good at it.
I'm saying, can we go into the other person's lens of the world, right? How are they seeing it? So I keep asking myself that. How are they seeing it? And I try to really have a deep awareness of how the other person is seeing it. Even that Trump conversation with the rioting and all that stuff. Okay, I'm just asking myself, how's the other person seeing it? So what I see in a lot of people is that they're not capable of thinking, is this true? All that they're thinking is, does this keep me safe? So in my view, there's
Bro, it's so ironic, dude. Dude, it's crazy. This shit is so I was sitting here with like 49 state landslide. Sitting here genuinely believing that, oh yeah, man. Everybody else, they have no clue what they're doing. It's crazy. It's crazy. As like Tim Pool believes that like the election is stolen. Wake up, sheeple. He thinks he's so smart. He tries to think about the way other people think, but through his own lens of understanding the world. He can't change his lens. He just doesn't care to do it. And so everything that he sees is distorted through his own like inability to actually put himself in other people's shoes.
There's two types of people that can say, is this true? One is somebody who's very, very confident. That'd be somebody like yourself. You're just really confident. So like, even when I talk to you, you're like, I talk to this person, they don't understand this. I talk to this person, they don't understand this. It's like the curse of intelligence because you're doing your own research.
And I
right?
think you're projecting right now.
Could be.
When you say, you know, like these people want to feel safe, I'm telling you, they don't feel anything.
Well, okay, let me finish. Tim, we got to finish the point at some point. Okay.
What? People who don't vote like me, they don't have feelings. They're incapable of feeling things.
So because otherwise we're just
the curse of intelligence. See, guys, Republicans keep losing when we like run our entire campaign on trans people eating your children while they're walking home from school and banning people who are women wearing pants and men wearing nail polish from being able to walk outside between the times of like 3 and 3:45 p.m. local. We're just too fucking smart. Our brains are too damn big for them to get it. So that's why we keep losing. That's the reason.
Not hitting it. So the main thing that I've seen is that if somebody feels confident in themselves, then they can think for themselves because they're not afraid of being attacked to think for themselves.
No, you're overthinking it.
Well, let me just finish the point though. So then the other one would be if they have a spiritual connection. You know, Drew, you're a confident guy. You also have a spiritual connection, so you care about whether or not what you think is accurate. But what I see in a lot of people is what they're thinking is,
I'm not touched.
Does the group think this? Like, how do I just twist my thoughts to stay within the bandwidth of what it is that the group thinks?
How
as
do
soon as
you
they go past that, they get scared.
How do you convince a dog to vote for a Republican or a Democrat?
Listen, you don't believe literally everything that I do? You're like basically like literally a dog. No feelings, no thoughts.
I have no idea. That's a great question. I wouldn't know.
Well, put yourself in the dog's shoes. It's not a great question. Right? Mm-hmm. How do you get that dog to food, right? Mm. And then what happens when you tell the dog go vote Democrat? What does the dog do?
Wants food.
Crap on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm sorry. I think that this like line of thinking just I don't know. I feel like closing because I was like when I was listening to this originally. I want you to like listen to that back, okay? And just wait here. I'll give it to you. I want you to listen to this back and just like close your eyes and think about it, okay? And just listen to it. And it's just crazy, right?
And what happens when you tell the dog go vote? How do you?
I have no idea. Think we'll pass that.
Just close your eyes and listen to this and just like soak it in, okay? It feels like a joke. It feels like a skit, but it's not. It's real. These are real people who really believe
They
it.
get scared.
How do you convince a dog to vote for a Republican or a Democrat?
I have no idea. That's a great question. I wouldn't know.
Well, put yourself in the dog's shoes, right? How do you get that dog to
Food.
Food, right? And what happens when you tell the dog go vote Democrat? What does the dog do?
Wants food?
Crap on the floor?
It's just incredible. I don't think that like even the biggest like anti-conservative comedian satirical writer could like ever come up with something just so remarkable, so brain dead, so head empty as this. This is something that I would come up with as a joke to make fun of Tim Pool, but he just is. And it gets worse.
So what you're doing is you're an intelligent guy, and so you're assuming these other people have the same capabilities as you do in terms of thought process. But there's a lot of people, just watch these videos from like Flecka's talks. These people do not think the way you think they do. When it's not Flecka, it's the other guy. Do you know who works?
James Flecka. Who else does it? James Flecka's.
Savannah Hernandez.
Sav's doing. Sav's doing a lot
When
of
you
good stuff, yeah.
see how they do these man on the street interviews,
Skip forward a little
in
bit.
a country that begins with the letter Y, I also disagree. I don't.
Wait.
Well, you can't.
Okay.
But have you tried convincing the T-Rex to vote Republican? Play is that?
Wait, he keeps going.
I'm not a good guy with names, so I don't know.
All right. How about
Wait, this is
Slaves
so
are
good. I
desires.
forgot.
That's what 90% of the population is. They do not have a higher God. They do not have anything else. They
you're
just
overthinking
want to be
it.
happy.
You are
No, they
projecting.
just want to get their drugs or their friends to like them or the likes
sorry.
on Facebook. They're a slave
You-
to their desires.
you ever played a
Anybody
video
up
game?
wanting they drugs?
What's your favorite video game?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, very, very good game. Name two characters in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Aloy.
Obvious choice.
Alloy?
I'm not a good guy with names, so I don't know.
All right. How about let's just say, I don't know the names of the actual robots, but there's that giant Tyrannosaurus robot you fought, right? How do you play as that?
I don't know.
Well, you played the game. You beat it, right?
I did.
How do you play the game as the T-Rex?
I would know.
Well, you can't.
Okay.
But have you tried convincing the T-Rex to vote Republican?
No.
Mind you, this is a group of 6 conservatives, or conservatives, Republicans, all sitting around a table, trying to figure out why they keep losing. I'm no massive Democrat fan, but and I feel like a lot of like doomer ass people, they don't like to believe this, but I really believe that the Democrats actually have learned a lot in the last couple of years. Ever since the 2018 election cycle, where like the Democrats failed to get back the Senate, I really feel like there was like a big inflection point, because I was genuinely surprised when seeing that like Schumer brought the entire caucus together and they actually like figured out why people won't want to vote for them. Now, are they perfect? No, absolutely not. Are they better than they were? I would say absolutely yeah. And so Democrats have been like reaping crazy amount of rewards from being better, being a little bit more progressive, and being a little bit more strong on their political beliefs, and with a little bit of luck, taking a hold of a situation that you can turn around to be beneficial for yourself, like the overturning of Roe and like the Supreme Court. They've been able to make some great inroads. They've been able to take back the trifecta in Michigan for the first time in 30 years. They've been able to flip the Wisconsin Supreme Court in over 15 years. Or just about 15 years. That's crazy. Most gerrymandered state in the entire country. It's wildly important. And they just simply can't understand any other human being.
This is an NPC. It looks like it's functioning. You say these people are slaves to their desires. I also disagree. I don't think they're slaves to anything. I think they're NPCs. You go to them and they'll say, I just do what people do.
That's how you win. Everybody else is an NPC, and they don't physically even have the mental capability to learn.
There's no deeper thought. There's no deeper quest. There's no deeper meaning.
Yeah,
Some people
But
just don't have that in them.
What I see is you'll be talking to someone and there is a light in the eyes. But as soon as you go outside the bandwidth of what they're allowed to talk about, you'll see them retreat and they even change their tone, right? So they're like, oh, hey, Tim, what's up? And then you go a little bit outside the bandwidth and they're like, well, I think, and then they go into NPC mode.
There's a reason the
just basic
NPC
economics will
meme
tell
became
you.
so prominent because people started to recognize that there are some people where, like you mentioned, the light in their eyes.
Me, when I
there's
definitely
something you can
understand
see when you're
human
talking
beings.
to someone that even if you disagree and even if you really hate each other, you know there's a conversation happening. But the reason the NPC meme emerged isn't just because someone wanted to insult someone. It's because they realized some people just weren't processing things the way they did, and they felt like they were talking to an NPC in a video game.
But no matter
Yes,
what,
autopilot.
people are going to pursue their own interests.
No, it's because they wanted to make fun of somebody. That's why. Like, when's the NPC meme used? Like, when somebody disagrees with you? Bro, like the conservatives, like the entire conservative political party is like a codename Kids Next Door contraption held together with chewed gum and duct tape. And the chewed gum is like bumper sticker talking points, and the duct tape is like culture war issues, and that's it. Without either of those things, I think the Republican Party would completely fracture and shatter apart. Outside of like wanting to constrict the like rights and lives of minorities, I don't think like a lot of factions in the Republican Party really have much to agree on at all. That's why they're fighting so much. They don't have like much in common at all, really.
And they are going to do whatever it is that makes them happy. Like it's just like in basic econ, right? That everybody is self-interested. And so while they may be a non-NPC or whatever, they're still going to pursue the little tiny things in their lives that make them happy. So,
yes.
rather like sitting there and playing on their computer and watching video games instead of doing work all day is still them pursuing their self-interest because that in that moment makes them more happy. They don't have the foresight, like you're saying, to think through those things, but they're still pursuing their desires and they're a slave to them rather than being a slave to a higher being or having some other calling in life. They are only pursuing their own happiness and therefore will never be free.
Yeah, versus being surrendered to God, not a slave to God.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I just forget to announce on Discord sometimes. Sorry, and I really appreciate you for the resub. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. I'll try to get back to doing that normally. I'm just bad at it.
What kind of person do you have in your mind, Tim? Like just
Does it Carrie Lake
someone
hat?
that's
Oh yeah, they talked about it earlier. Carrie Lake's people like went to Tim Pool's place and then just like dropped off 100 Carrie Lake hats.
Watch Flecka's videos.
not interested in politics at all, or
No, I'm
someone
talking
that
about politics.
or someone that's like engaged, that's on the left, a Democrat, or just someone that's totally just
You're at like
out of
maybe not
out of the
maybe,
loop completely.
Maybe you're not your average person, but the lower bell curve people, I suppose. And again, I'm not saying this to be insulting,
what the
derogatory,
fuck?
or to diminish human beings. Is that governor just
Oh wait, guys. All right, listen. This is the really important part. I want you to listen to how insane Tim Pool is. Okay. This is the part that I really want to show you all, but I need to give you like the context before. He's going to say something. This is what I was talking about when I was like, you can't even like imagine what he's going to say. Bell curve, not even just normal bell curve, okay? It's like spicy bell curve. It's bell curve with a twist. It's like a unique bell curve meme that I've never actually seen before. And I think he just made it up on the spot. And we get like and this is important because we
got
get
called
like
for Tim Walton?
we get like the tiniest glimpse of what it's like in like under the beanie.
Minnesota.
Based.
I'm saying that like watch Flecka's videos or spend time, and you will find people that behave as if they're NPCs in a video game.
Yeah, and I think
there's no amount of words you can say to get them to behave differently.
And the cool part of this conversation is that it brings up is that to what extent do certain political factions actually try to encourage that mindset in order to get elected, right? And this is you've got to start asking yourself, like, what is the state of consciousness of the average person? What is causing that state of consciousness? And then what kind of political interests does that serve?
What is the state of consciousness of your average human being? These people are so unpopular and they're so alienating to their average human being that instead of thinking there's something wrong with me, they think everybody else who isn't at this table right now simply just does not possess human consciousness. This is just like bordering on like ground level genocide theory. I hope you all know that.
I wonder if that's the right way to view it, is that it's not just about, people can say intelligence. Are you a smart person? Are you a stupid person? Do you have book knowledge? Do you have wisdom? Maybe there's also a question of to what degree is someone conscious?
Yes.
Like, do you experience the world to a high degree of sharpness where you're thinking and calculating? I'll put it another way. Did you know that there's a large amount of people who don't have an inner monologue? Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
They don't actually communicate in their mind and think about what they're doing. It's the craziest thing. I didn't know that was a thing until I read the stories about the scientific studies talking about testing people for inner monologue.
Yes. So not having inner monologue, just so you know, just means that you don't hear words when you think, right? A lot of people, me personally, when I like think I'm going to say something, I can literally hear my own voice in the same exact inflection that I would like to say it happen in my voice. I can go, what the heck, in real life, and then I can go in my head. Same exact cadence, inflection, tone, same thing. I can just do that. I can like see I can do that. Some people don't. Yeah, I saw this on a tweet once. I saw this on a TikTok once. Imagine in Morgan Freeman's voice. Yeah, a lot of people do their own voice. A lot of people may like think of it in like another person's voice. That's all an inner monologue is. And he thinks that an inner monologue, not simply hearing yourself think in words, is somehow meaning that you're of a lower than desirable human consciousness and you don't think in the future and think about what the future holds or calculate your next move.
Some people don't have it.
So this is actually what I teach in seminars. So I bring people up to the front of the class and I've got to wake them up. This is
you're
what
stupid.
I do. 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
I bring them on stage and I wake them up. What do you do to them? You unhand them, you ruffian. What do you mean you wake them up? What, you give them consciousness? Wait, what? You like replenish their consciousness meter or something? What are you talking about?
I've actually, I have some friends, we talked about this because a long time ago, my friends are all smoking pot or whatever, we're hanging out playing video games.
You know what? Honestly, sounds about right.
And they would say they didn't have one. And I had a friend who was like, I don't do that. I'm like, you don't like think in like words and visuals and experiences, you don't imagine? And they're like, no. There's a test they do for it where they tell you to imagine an apple. Then they show you cards and ask you which one represents what you see. And there's varying levels of consciousness that people have. Some people, when you say imagine an apple, they'll say, I'm picturing a vivid 4K or greater realistic image of an apple. I can see the rot in it. I can spin it around in my head and rotate it. I can see it hanging from the tree. I can now see myself pulling it from the tree. Some people say, I see a flat, still image of an apple in my mind. That's it. Can you spin it? No. Can you think of, I just see the apple. Some people report seeing a black silhouette of an apple. Some people report just thinking the text word of an apple. And some people report literally seeing or thinking nothing. And so this is a series of tests they've done. And that's, I guess, perhaps a varying degree of consciousness.
No. Some people don't literally think in pictures. So basically it's like they're not conscious. What are you saying? What are you saying? People, it's just, so people who don't, mind you, this is supposed to be like wrapping back into why conservatives keep losing elections. It's not because they have nothing to offer a new generation of voters, younger people, like older Gen Z voters who they could possibly rope into the party. It's not because they're like incredibly phobic and bigoted to those people's friends that have like the highest percentages of queer people in the country. It can't be because they just don't have anything to offer them in their future. They disdain them. They want to take like voting power away from them and put it more towards their own voters equally, even though there's more of them whose votes are getting like diluted simply because they're just closer together, because they would like to move for opportunity. They demonize them and think that we're like destroying the country, even though we don't want to stick by the ideals of like dead slave drivers, even though they gave us the ability to change the country, to make it different and make it our own. It's definitely not any of those things. It's simply because they like smoke weed and jerk off and play video game and literally don't have consciousness. What are they? If that's the case, if you have no consciousness, what are you, like subhuman or something? You don't have like baseline human consciousness or something? What are you talking about? It's weird how that works out, isn't it? Honestly, blind people may not be conscious at all. They may be puppets of the government being controlled. There's no person in there. If you see, as you can see, I'm Tim Pool, I'm very smart. If you cannot see a picture, you are not a person. Ah, yes, yes, very true. Young people head empty. Listen, crazy because there's nothing under the beanie. And even like Matt Walsh and crew understanding that they're like losers and nobody actually cares about what they believe. Go woke, go broke is the lamest cope of all time. Finally, they're coming to grips. They're coming to grips with that they're losers and nobody cares what they have to say. It's not even true. It should, but it isn't. I'm sorry, like the crying tone of this like tweet thread is just so funny to me. We're not gonna read this all at the moment, but like it's very funny. Basically, this is about Tim Pool and Charlie Kirk wanting to astroturf a company that decides that trans people shouldn't be like executed, and gay people deserve to not be shot in nightclubs, and like black people deserve like equal opportunity, and not to be forced into like ghettoized neighborhoods and everything, and think that men should not like rape women and should like not like be forced to like man up. Instead, they should be themselves because they are themselves. And how like we need to pick one, it doesn't matter which one, so we can astroturf a ruthless boycott campaign, claim one, scalp, then move on to the next one, just like a fucking creature, talking like a goddamn barbarian. I mean, but it makes a lot of sense because he has the mental capacity of a Neanderthal. Maybe a Homo erectus. That too. I agree, Matt. Let's start with Budweiser. Since 2008, it's been owned by a Dutch multinational. Plenty of American alternatives. Let's put Budweiser out of business. What do you say? I'm in. Let's do it. All right. So basically, just so you know, this is cancel culture. They've decided that they were going to just do a cancel culture. They're just going to take up cancel culture and then like just be stupid and try and do it. This isn't gonna go anywhere, obviously, because these people these businesses know who their audience is. They know what they can and can't do, and you're just not their business. Most people don't care about trans issues. Most people don't know who Dylan Mulvaney is, okay? How many of you guys have bought like a piece of like food or something, or like a product that had like that you would suspect to be a famous person on it, and you're like, damn, that's crazy. Anyways, like I don't know who. I bought like several. I can't even remember their names because I never even went to look up their names. But I was like pretty sure that's supposed to be a famous person who's on like the box of like snacks that I buy like every once in a while. I don't give a shit. Happens all the time. I'm trans. I don't know who Dylan Mulvaney is. Well, welcome to the club, because like Dylan Mulvaney is like the conservatives' favorite woman right now. She's like already she has Dylan Mulvaney has, I'm not sure if you guys have like seen, but Dylan Mulvaney has like the entire conservative like online movement in a chokehold, in like a rear naked chokehold. Okay, not even like a normal one. Goddamn, like Muay Thai down there with like the legs wrapped around their like midsection to keep them still, and they're blacking out. They're blacking out. They can't escape it. I have never known who Dylan Mulvaney is. I still have no clue who Dylan Mulvaney is. But like every single time I see a conservative talking about this bitch, it's always like, yo guys, look at this. I think I see her dick. And then they try and zoom in to try and get it to like Jarvis enhanced like dick print on this trans woman who's like, buy Nike, good. It's just like it blows my mind, bro. I can't even show you any of these pictures, but one got like really, I can't show you, but like one got really popular with like this dude literally, I'm telling you, literally like doing a zoom in job on like pictures that she posted on her Instagram where her crotch is visible, zooming in to figure out like which leg that she possibly like usually runs her dick down, or on, or like what side is she tucking or something. They're doing like tuck job ratings. It's crazy. It's crazy, and all of them are doing the same thing that they do every single year, where like some company does something that they don't like, where they throw a hissy fit about it for like 3 days, and then there's like a huge spike in sales because they go out to go buy the shit that they say that they hate, and then to like make a YouTube video about how much they hate it, and then disappear, and then on to the next one. Simple as that. On to the next one. No, they deleted it. No, I was gonna show you. I don't know her. I don't know his name. Anyways, there's this like actor or something who has a wife that's taller than him, and since the wife is taller than him, a bunch of TERFs online were saying that his wife is actually a trans man because she's tall, but she's actually pregnant. She's been pregnated while they were talking about it. Daniel Radcliffe? Bruh, it was a big bruh moment. Maybe one of even the biggest bruh moments of today. Yeah, the Harry Potter guy. I think at least. Yeah, I mean like they deleted their shit, but like Canoe made a meme about it. Like the gender criticals have now clocked a pregnant cis woman. This tweet is like I forget exactly what the tweet was, but the tweet was like, look at her face. Take a good look. That's a woman, right? They want to tell you that's a woman, right? And it's just like, bro, this chick is pregnant. Her womb is so full right now. Like, how can you? They wake up, clock 10 cis women as trans, go to sleep, and they think that they've done a great job for like the uterus enjoyers everywhere. It's crazy. These people are insane. But that's why they'll lose. And that's why we'll win. We got real beliefs, real thoughts, real feelings. We understand conservatives more than they could possibly understand us. I don't think it's because they don't have the capacity to. I think it's just because they don't care. That's not what their ideology is about. So, is what it is, brothers. Wild world. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.